for those of you who are really excited about editing Shelly doing this video, I'm so sorry to disappoint because I'm just sitting here enjoying and trying to get used to my very short new haircut, and I just thought I want to do a tag, and it's my goal this week to do a couple of tags that I have been both tagged in or that has intrigued me in some way. And so the reading goals tag by Rosie Cockshut really caught my eye because I have been following the conversation about reading goals on BookTube for, the last week or so, and it's been really fascinating me. So me being me, I was like, oh, Rosie Cockshut, she created a tag just for me. Of course, that's not true. Watch Rosie's video. It's amazing. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the questions she posed as a beautiful structure to kind of start a conversation with myself about goal setting, which I am still trying to reconcile. So you all will get to see me kind of think through some of these questions and where I land on this conversation. Okay. So the first thing is to tag some friends. I'm not gonna tag people. Maybe at the end, once I've gone through this, maybe I'll be like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of people I wanna hear this, I wanna hear from. But I'm just gonna go with the questions for now. So it says, her first one is, do you set reading goals? Why or why not? And I said, my first note was for 2022, that is to be determined. I don't know if I'm setting reading goals. I have some things in mind, but besides the 22 classics in 2022, I don't really have any reading goals set. So yeah, my predetermined classics, 22 classics for 2022 is my only goal, and I made a video about it, and it's the only major goal I have this year. Now last year, I'm looking at my notes, last year I did not set a numerical reading goal. I said I'm not going to set, I purposefully said in my mind, I am not going to say I want to read X amount of books in this year. I felt pressure from that goal in the past, and actually not setting a goal really, I not only achieved what I thought I was going to achieve, but beyond. And I wonder if some of that has to do with actually not setting a goal at all. Yeah, and if you watch Gina Stanier's video about not setting a goal, in reflection after watching that, it's about how goals may actually hold you back. And after watching that, I was like, actually, I wonder if perhaps the numerical goal and the feeling pressure of the numerical goal has actually held me back. So I'm not setting hardly any goals except for these 22 classics in 2022. I also didn't set a goal. I'm looking at my notes. I didn't set a goal, a numerical goal last year, because I wondered very early on in 2021 and even the end of 2020 if I was picking up shorter texts just to reach a number. I didn't want a number in my mind to hold me back or make me feel like I couldn't read a really, really long book, because I was trying to get so many books in that year. And so I knew that I didn't want the goal to have any shaping on my reading. And that was really good for me last year. So I hope that made sense. Her next question, are your goals things that you absolutely aim to complete, or more general themes you want to focus on? So my one version of myself wants to complete things to perfection, to absolute perfection. And it has taken the decade that I'm living in now to learn that that is not a very good way of life for me. So I'm realizing that general themes are actually a lot more healthy for me to focus on. It puts me in a better space to actually keep the goal in mind. If I'm just sort of shaping it around an idea, kind of like the 22 classics in 2022. But yeah, a flexible kind of theme, yeah, is best for me. Okay, let's see. In the when in the year do you set goals? Set new goals? So naturally, the first of the year brings out a little bit of reflection and on the flip side, a little bit of goal setting. So, January 1 is kind of an invitation to reflect. Consulting my notes for a moment. So I also set goals when I am in a funk. Like I feel off. Then I start to, set a goal. I'm not surprised that like I was really in that funk in December. I talked about it in my wrap up video. I was in a bit of a funk. There was a lot going on in December, and I'm not surprised that I set my 22 classics goal in 2022 during that funk, in the storm of that funk, because it gave me something positive to think about, like a future where I wasn't in this headspace and feeling kind of stressed. And so I really spent a lot of time kind of picking out my classics and setting them down and looking at them and thinking about reading them. And then, maybe I would watch a booktube video and I would swap out a classic for another. And so it was really a fun project to set up for myself because it kind of swept me away from maybe some stress I was feeling. I'm not surprised that I filmed that video during a month that I was quite stressed out, So when I'm in a funk. Okay, it says, do you have any long-standing goals that you aim for every year? If yes, what are they? Always. I have one ongoing goal forever, and it's to drink more water. It got a little bit loud in the house, so I'm going to read this last question again. Okay, what type of goal has been the most successful by whatever metric you choose in the past? And I said that this is impossible to answer because I think that goals don't always have to be written down. They could be kind of in your mind. I know that there was like a certain type of, mom I want to be in. I'm always proud of myself when I'm patient or something, like that kind of thing. But I do notice that short-term goals, not like 3, 4, 5 months, those tend to be really, really good for me. I like sort of like semester-long projects. This is probably why I was a pretty good student, which actually leads me into the next prompt. So it says, what type of goal has not gone to plan and what went wrong? Actually, numerically, when I was in graduate school, I did very, very well. I actually graduated with a perfect GPA. And I was, a great student, but I was so miserable in my real life. It just was not great. And a lot of it had to do with the goal of keeping a perfect grades throughout my whole course in graduate school. So that, to me, that goal did not go to plan because I didn't really acknowledge or realize how much holding on to such a high standard for myself would stress me out. And it was virtually impossible for me to let go of wanting to do graduate school very, very well. And that was really tough. And since then, I've sort of promised myself not to take anything as seriously as I took graduate school. That's kind of where I'm at right now with that. So what went wrong? I held on to it too tightly, and I'm learning to kind of loosen my grasp on perfectionism. Oh goodness. Okay, do you change your goals based on how the last reading year has gone? Yes, more broadly. I like to sort of broadly think, I think we do this all the time. You look at the past year and you're like, I read so much because of the pandemic. I read more because I had 8 weeks off in the summer. I read less because I changed a job, or like you kind of construct these narratives. But as far as like shaping my goals, yeah, I do. I think like, I did read a certain amount of books this year and I would like to beat that, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. But so yes, but that's very fluid. And it's really kind of in the context of switching the year out, like right now I'm thinking about it more because we're at this juncture of, ending one year and starting the next. Whereas perhaps if it wasn't right now in January, I wouldn't really care what I read the previous year, and I wouldn't be holding like the previous year up to the following year. That type of thing. So I think it's very contextualized by the timing right now. Okay, and do you track your reading goals? If so, how? So more and more, I personally feel like I'm tracking it here on BookTube, because I summarize my thoughts, whether it be in reading wrap-ups or in little check-ins about my books. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like I am doing my reading tracking on YouTube, because I talk about most things. But I also, I do keep a list, and I've always kind of kept track that way. But yeah, anyways, last question. Has any of this changed over the course of your reading life? So I think by this you mean any goals and reading and all of that. I would say my reading life and my goals, thereafter have really been shaped by BookTube. Even wanting to pick up certain books. And you make these little like buddy reads, and in a weird way, it's like you're contractually, you're signing a little, personal contract with another person that you are setting out to read this book, the goal of reading this book in this amount of time, and you're saying that you're doing that. And so I think of these sort of short-term goals of even just like buddy reading with someone or group reading with someone. Though I don't know if it would necessarily be called a goal, but it could be considered one. And so in that way, my reading life has totally changed. I'm a lot more willing to pick up books on my shelf that I haven't thought about. I think about the buddy read that I did with both Alice and the Giant Bookshelf and Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot. Alice and I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and Sandy and I read Unbroken by Lauren Hillenbrand. I've had those books on my shelves for a decade. They have been there. And I don't know I'm not sure how it all came about, but it's like, I think we realized that we had the same book on our shelf and set up a buddy read from there. And the same for the other, with Sandy, both times, it's like we figured out that we both owned these books and that they begged to be read. And so we read them together. And in that way, my reading life has changed quite a bit. But yeah, I hope I answered that right, but anyways, that's it. I really like this tag. I'm not sure who wants to talk about reading goals, but I thought I would contribute in my own Shelly way. And, let me know. If you want to do this tag, you are tagged by me. Just say, Shelly tagged me, because it's true. You were tagged by me. And actually, you know what? I'm going to take it back. I'm going to say I want all of you to do this tag, because it is brilliant and it is wonderful and it's lots of fun. So please do it. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you all in my next one. Oh, and you're leaving right at the moment when everything gets wild and crazy over at my house. Okay, bye.